Have you ever wondered why people who pull away always come back right when you stop chasing them? In the next few minutes, you'll discover the psychological secret that completely transforms any relationship dynamic, allowing you to reclaim the power you should never have given away in the first place. When someone pulls away, what's really happening in their mind is much deeper than you might imagine. There's a fundamental principle in human psychology that very few people understand. What you chase runs away, what you release comes back. But knowing this isn't enough. You need to understand it at its core. Louise Hay explained this perfectly when she talked about how our internal beliefs determine our external experiences. It's not the outside world that needs to change, but the thoughts we have about it, she said. When you obsess over someone who's pulling away, what you're really doing is sending out an energy of desperation and lack. And that energy, believe it or not, is precisely what causes that person to pull away even more. Think about it for a moment. How do you feel when someone pressures you too much? Exactly. You want to escape. You want to breathe. You want your space. The same thing happens to the person pulling away from you. This is where the real transformation begins. When you stop chasing, when you learn to let go, when you understand that your value doesn't depend on whether that person decides to stay or leave. And this brings us to the first crucial point that will completely change your perspective on relationships. The first truth you need to internalize is that desperate need is what drives away someone who's pulling back. When you cling to someone with all your might, when you constantly message them, when you try everything possible to regain their attention, what you're really communicating is insecurity. And insecurity, no matter how much we try to hide it, can be felt, perceived, transmitted in every word, in every action. Louise Hay had a powerful phrase about this. The point of power is always in the present moment. What does this mean? That no matter how desperately you've acted in the past, you can change the dynamic right now, in this very moment. You can decide to stop chasing. You can decide to reclaim your power. Think about the last time someone pulled away from you and you entered that cycle of anxiety, neediness, wanting to control the situation. How did you feel? You probably experienced an emptiness in your stomach, a lump in your throat, obsessive thoughts that wouldn't let you sleep. And worst of all, that person perceived it. They felt your desperation, and it only reinforced their decision to pull away. Here's a practical exercise. Every time you feel the need to contact that person who pulled away, stop. Take 3 deep breaths and repeat this affirmation. I release the need to control this situation. I love and accept myself completely. I know I deserve a balanced relationship. Do this whenever anxiety appears and observe how, little by little, you regain your center. If you're watching this video, it's because something in you wants to change, wants to evolve, wants to understand the psychology behind these painful dynamics. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone you know needs it. Because true transformation begins when we share knowledge. But let's get back to our topic. When you master that first point, when you stop chasing from a place of desperation, something magical begins to happen. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point. The second key you need to understand is the power of emptiness and distance. Human nature has a fascinating characteristic. We value more what we can't easily have. In psychology, this is known as the scarcity principle, and it works so powerfully that it can completely transform how that person who pulled away perceives you. Louise Hay explained it with a beautiful metaphor. Plants don't grow if you water them constantly. They need space to extend their roots. The same goes for relationships. When you stop being constantly available, when you create a space, a void, you're allowing something new, something different to emerge. Has it ever happened to you that after insisting so much with someone, you finally gave up, stopped looking for them, and suddenly that person reappeared in your life? It's not a coincidence. It's this principle at work in its maximum expression. When you stop chasing, when you focus on your own life, on your own growth, you become magnetic, mysterious, intriguing. Think about the people who have attracted you most in your life. Were they the ones who were completely available, who gave you everything effortlessly? Or were they the ones who had their own world, their own passions, who didn't depend on you to be happy? The answer is evident. Here's another powerful exercise. Make a list of all the activities you enjoyed before meeting that person who pulled away. What were you passionate about? What made you feel alive? Now commit to resuming at least one of those activities this very week. Don't do it thinking that person will come back. Do it for yourself, for your well-being, for your growth. Remember, the energy you project when you live your life fully is irresistible. Have you noticed how sometimes we lose ourselves so much in a relationship that we forget who we really are? Recovering your essence, your identity, is fundamental not only for you, but to transform any relational dynamic. Remember, your value isn't in whether that person decides to stay or leave. Your value is intrinsic, innate, part of your being. As Louise Hay would say, you are valuable simply because you exist. You don't need anyone's approval to be who you are. And this brings us to the third crucial point in the psychology of someone who pulls away, something that will completely change your perspective and give you a power you perhaps didn't know you had. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point. The third truth you need to understand is the power of authenticity and non-resistance. One of the reasons why people pull away is because they feel you're trying to control them, change them, force them to be something they're not. And this is where Louise Hay's wisdom becomes especially relevant. She said that what you resist persists. When you fight against reality, when you resist accepting that that person needs space, you're creating more friction, more tension, more distance. True freedom lies in acceptance, in flowing with what is, not with what you want it to be. When you're authentic, when you show your vulnerabilities without fear, when you accept the situation as it is, without resistance, without manipulation, you're creating a space of safety and trust. And that space is precisely what allows people to feel comfortable to approach again. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract healthy, balanced relationships? It's not luck, it's not coincidence, it's because they've learned to be authentic, to not resist reality, to flow with what life presents them. Think about your relationship with that person who pulled away. How many times did you try to control everything? How many times did you try to manipulate the situation to get what you wanted? And most importantly, did it work? Probably not. Because control is an illusion, and when we try to exercise it over others, we only push them further away. Here's a transformative exercise. Sit in silence, close your eyes, and visualize that person who pulled away. Imagine telling them, from your heart, I accept you as you are. I respect your path and your decisions. I release you and I release myself. Repeat this visualization for 7 consecutive days and observe how your energy changes, how your perspective shifts. And remember, you're not doing this so that person will come back. You're doing it to free yourself, to heal, to grow. Because when you stop resisting, when you accept what is, you open yourself to infinite possibilities, many of them better than you could have imagined. Have you noticed how sometimes when we finally accept that a relationship has ended, when we truly let it go from the heart, that's when that person returns? It's not magic, it's pure psychology. It's the power of non-resistance. If this video is helping you, if you're finding value in these words, I invite you to like it, share it with that friend you know needs it, and subscribe to this channel for more content that will help you transform your relationships from the root. The fourth truth you need to internalize, and possibly the most powerful of all, is that your energy is everything. Louise Hay dedicated much of her work to explaining how our thoughts and emotions create our reality. What we think about ourselves becomes the truth for us, she said. When you're constantly worried about whether that person will come back, when you live in the anxiety of uncertainty, you're emitting a frequency of lack, of need. And that frequency is repellent, not only for that specific person, but for all the positive opportunities that could come into your life. On the contrary, when you live in a state of fullness, when you feel complete by yourself, when you radiate self-love and confidence, you become a magnet for positive experiences. And yes, that includes that person who pulled away. Think about the people you admire most. What energy do they transmit? lack or abundance, need or fullness? Surely it's the latter. And that energy isn't something they were born with, it's something they cultivated, something they consciously decided to create. Have you noticed how when you're happy, when you're centered, when you feel fulfilled, people want to be near you? It's almost as if you emanate a light that others want for themselves. And that light doesn't depend on external circumstances. It depends on how you choose to feel, how you choose to think. Here's a transformative exercise. Every morning, before checking your phone, before thinking about that person who pulled away, take 5 minutes to connect with your inner power. Breathe deeply and repeat this affirmation. I am complete, I am fulfilled, I am enough. Love flows to me in unexpected and wonderful ways. Feel each word. Believe it with all your being. With time, this new energy will become your natural state. Louise Hay had a wonderful phrase about this. What we give out, we get back. If you give out desperation, you'll receive distance. If you give self-love, you'll receive admiration. If you give fullness, you'll receive abundance. It's a universal law that works without exception. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract love? It's not because they're prettier, smarter, or more successful. It's because they've learned to manage their energy, to vibrate at a frequency of love and fullness. And now, we come to the fifth and final point, the one that really closes the circle and allows you not only to understand the psychology of someone who pulls away, but to completely transform it in your favor. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point. The fifth truth, and perhaps the deepest of all, is that true power lies in disidentification. Most people identify so much with their relationships, with their roles, with their past stories, that they lose their true essence. And when you lose your essence, you lose your magnetism, your natural attractiveness. Louise Hay expressed it beautifully. You are not your circumstances, you are not your relationships, you are not your past. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. When you disidentify from your role as the abandoned person, the rejected one, the one who wasn't enough, you reclaim your original power. Have you noticed how, after a breakup or someone pulling away, we tend to define our identity based on that loss? I'm the ex of, I'm the one who was left, I'm the one who couldn't maintain the relationship. These identities are toxic, limiting, and most importantly, false. Think about who you were before meeting that person who pulled away. What were you passionate about? What made you laugh? What made you feel alive? That's your true identity, not the one you built around a relationship that no longer exists. Here's a powerful exercise. Take a paper and pen and write down 20 things that define you that have nothing to do with romantic relationships. They can be skills, values, passions, achievements. When you finish, read them aloud, every day, for a week. This exercise will help you reconnect with your true essence, with who you really are beyond your relationships. And remember, when you disidentify from your role as victim or abandoned, when you reclaim your original essence, you become irresistible. Not because you're trying to be, but because you're being authentic, you're being yourself. Have you noticed how people who are completely comfortable in their own skin, who don't need external validation, who shine with their own light, are the ones who attract the most? It's not a coincidence. It's the power of authenticity, of disidentification. If this video is helping you, if you're feeling a transformation in the way you see relationships, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this knowledge with whom you think needs it. Because true transformation begins when we share what we learn. Louise Hay said that every thought we have is creating our future. If you think from lack, from need, from abandonment, that's exactly what you'll attract. But if you think from fullness, from self-love, from authenticity, the entire universe will conspire to bring you what you truly deserve. Have you noticed how, when you finally stop identifying as the abandoned one, and start recognizing yourself as a complete, fulfilled, and sufficient being, that's when people from the past return? It's not a coincidence. It's because you now emanate a completely different energy, an energy that attracts instead of repels. But here's the beautiful paradox. When you no longer need that person to come back, when you no longer define your worth based on whether they're in your life or not, that's when you're truly ready for a healthy, balanced, and nourishing relationship. Whether it's with that person who pulled away or with someone new who will resonate with your new frequency. Because in the end, the weak spot of someone who pulls away isn't something you can exploit or manipulate. It's something you can only transform by working on yourself, elevating your energy, reclaiming your power. When you understand these 5 points, when you integrate them into your being, you become a completely different person. A person who doesn't chase, who doesn't beg, who doesn't get desperate. A person who knows their worth, who radiates confidence, who naturally attracts what they truly deserve. And here's the deepest truth of all. Relationship reverse psychology isn't about tricks to make someone come back. It's about transforming yourself in such a way that, whether they return or not, you'll continue to be complete, fulfilled, and happy. Louise Hay said it beautifully. Love is a mirror. It reflects exactly what you feel about yourself. If you love yourself, if you respect yourself, if you value yourself, the world will give you back exactly that. Love, respect, and value. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to jump from one toxic relationship to another? It's because they haven't learned these fundamental truths. They continue to operate from lack, from need, from identification with limiting roles. But you who are here, who have reached this point in the video, you're ready to break that cycle. You're ready to transform not only your relationships but your entire life. Because when you change your relationship with yourself, everything else changes automatically. Remember, true power isn't in controlling others but in controlling yourself. It's not about making someone come back, but about creating a life so fulfilling that, whether they come back or not, you'll continue to shine. And now, we come to the end of this journey, but not to the end of your transformation. Because true transformation begins when you close this video and start applying what you've learned. If you've made it this far, it's because something in you resonated with these words. Something in you is ready to change, to evolve, to transcend the limiting dynamics you've lived with until now. The fundamental truth you should take from this video is that the power has always been within you, not in that person who pulled away, not in external circumstances, but in you, in how you choose to think, in how you choose to feel, in how you choose to act. As Louise Hay said, the point of power is always in the present moment. It doesn't matter what happened before. It doesn't matter how many times you've felt abandoned or rejected. At this very moment, you can choose a new way of being, a new way of relating, a new way of loving yourself. I invite you to write in the comments, I choose to release the need for control and open myself to receiving the love I truly deserve. This declaration is powerful because it establishes a clear intention, a commitment to yourself. And remember, this is just the beginning. There's so much more to learn, so much more to discover, so much more to transform. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any video, and to share this knowledge with those people you know need it, because true transformation isn't just personal, it's collective. And together we can create a world where relationships are spaces of growth, love, and fulfillment, not of lack, control, or manipulation. Thank you for being here, for dedicating this time to your growth, to your evolution. Remember, you are valuable, you are enough, you are complete. And you deserve a love that reflects exactly that. See you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring the secrets of human psychology to create a full, satisfying life filled with authentic love. Until then.